What is life? What is humanity? Hi guys, it's True here bringing you another True review, and this is SOMA on the Xbox One. It's priced at £23.99 in the UK and $29.99 in the US.
Hi, Simon Jarrett?
Yeah, that's me.
My name is David Munchi. We spoke earlier.
The brain scan, I remember.
Are you alright?
Yeah, just a bad dream. Are we still on for today?
Yeah, that's why I'm calling. I wanted to remind you to drink the tracer.
What makes us human? What makes you you? Is it your body? Is it your personality?
I got it.
Your mind? Well, that's the question that SOMA asks you to think about whilst trying to survive and understand your newfound predicament. You play as Simon, who has a terminal brain condition due to injuries from a car crash he was involved in, and we join him on the day he's going through an experimental brain scan at the offices of the amusingly named Dr Munchi. And I'm glad that the game made this little section playable, as it really helps set up the disorientation which is to come, as we briefly see a little glimpse into Simon's normal life.
For your condition. So
after arriving at the less than professional looking offices of Dr Munchi, you have your brain scan and seemingly black out and reawaken in a strange rundown lab, and this is where SOMA starts properly. Now, I was putting this review together, I had a question to ask myself. Do I decide to either spoil the story or not? Taking into account that I had not actually heard of SOMA myself, which had been out on the PC and Ps4 for a couple of years by now, I decided on the latter, and I'll only mention very early plot points which you'll discover in the first 10-15 minutes of the game.
You are Simon Jarrett, correct?
So SOMA mainly takes place in an underwater research facility known as Paphos 2. While the station itself is now in a state of disrepair, Simon quickly establishes that Paphos 2 was a group of stations scattered around the Atlantic Ocean, originally functioning as a mass driver. Now, for those of you who don't know what a mass driver is, it's like a giant gun that its sole aim is to propel things into space without the need of traditional rockets. Now, why or how Simon got here, I can't really go into, but with the help of his companion Catherine, whom you quickly meet early on in the game, you have to make your way through the station's installations, avoiding the many mutated robots and environmental hazards that Paphos 2 throws at you. Turning to graphics, SOMA's a good looking game, taking into account it is a couple of years old now. And on the base hardware it looks decent enough, with that derelict rooms and corridors at every turn, lit up with intermittent flickering lights trying their best to actually stay on and perform their function. All this comes together to help create a fantastic, believable world, which really makes you feel like you are in this rundown station. Now, sound-wise, the atmosphere created by the graphics wouldn't be nothing without the excellent soundtrack, and the sound of the creaking station, the unexpected bangs, creaks, pressurized steam valves being released, make the station one of the best and believable environments I've had the pleasure, or should I actually be displeasure, to actually walk through. Then when you venture into many areas protected by one of the robots, the roars and echoes they let out resonate along the metallic hallways and rooms, so giving off clues to where you shouldn't go. Now, I would recommend playing this game with surround sound if you have that available to you. I played my game through a surround sound headset, and honestly, the sound detection and sound direction that the game offered there was absolutely fantastic. You could literally pinpoint every drop of water that was being dripped from a pipe onto a floor. The creaks, the bangs, the echoes, they made you jump and turn around, and you could actually locate where sounds were coming from. It was so good. So if you do have a surround sound headset or a surround sound setup available, definitely play it through that, which I imagine you would do anyway. So most importantly, how does the game play then? Well, before you start, you have a decision to make. Do you play the game as it was originally made, or do you go for the brand new safe mode that the developers introduced? Now, my recommendation would be definitely go with the safe mode. Now, whilst this choice basically turns the game into a puzzle/walking simulator, albeit a high quality 6 to 8 hour experience, it removes the frustration of the quite frankly broken, cheap AI of the creatures, whom, whilst still present, lose the ability to actually attack you and kill you and cause you damage. Now, whilst the route to the game's excellent conclusion is pretty linear, there's a lot of scope to go off path, and it's really encouraged that you do so as you discover a plethora of audio files, documents, status echoes which build a bigger and richer story of what actually happened to the Paphos 2 station, and it's tried to explain to an extent of how Simon and why Simon is here. I really enjoyed how you interact with the environment as well. By when you find an object you can interact with, you hold your right trigger down, which kind of grasps the item, and then you use the sticks by turning, pulling, pushing to manipulate the object there. So like for a drawer, for example, you would first grasp hold of the drawer and then push down to pull the drawer out and push up to push it back in again. Similar with a valve, you would obviously turn left and right to turn the valve or a switch if you grab hold of it in that way. It just adds a bit more of an immersive feeling to the game, even though you are using a regular controller. Now, it's not all praise though, as they previously mentioned, broken AI isn't the game's only issue. Finding interactable objects can also be a problem, with the reticle not changing, also made more difficult by interactable objects not being clearly highlighted so you know what you can actually interact with in the first place. I think more guidance and direction could have been offered through the game there, which would have made it a bit more of a pleasurable experience. The game also relies a little bit too much on cliched gameplay tropes as well, such as tasking you to repair air transport, which obviously crashes halfway to its destination. There's a fine example of this, which drives Simon through every single part of the station. Finally, one other problem, which is a big annoyance really, and I think they should have been able to optimise it a little bit better, is finally when each new map section loads in, there is a noticeable pause, and I'm talking like a few second pause here, even on the X, which really should have been ironed out there and fixed, because it does kind of take you out of the immersion when the game just literally stops working for 3 seconds. Overall though, SOMA is a fantastic package, a game that definitely needs to be experienced and does pose a lot of philosophical questions with the decisions that Simon's presented through his, like I say, 6 to 8 hour journey. It does offer a really good value, even though it is at a weird, strange, mid-range price point there, but it just is like a step above the usual fare you get. Normally walking simulators are associated with like hollow experiences and very brief experiences. SOMA kind of gets rid of all that. Even if you put it in the safe mode, as I say, you are looking at least 6, possibly 8 hours to get through the adventure there. There is an awful lot of content, an awful lot of locations, and this is a game where you get more out of it the more you put in, the more you explore, the more documents you find, and the more computers you read and things such as that. Build up a bigger, richer backstory to explain the story of Simon and the story of the Paphos 2 station, and the story of I can't really say, but yeah, there's a bigger story to be told here, and you get the most out of it the more exploring you do. So for that reason, I'm going to give SOMA a big hefty recommendation. Thanks for watching guys, please remember to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next review.